Welcome! Today, we're diving into Venom, The Last Dance, the final chapter in Sony's Venom trilogy. Our story begins in the endless void, a swirling abyss beyond time and space. Trapped in eternal darkness, Null, the godlike creator of the symbiotes, seethes with rage. Long ago, his own creations betrayed him, sealing him away in a cosmic prison. But now, Null has a plan, one that will break his chains and bring ruin to the entire universe. At the center of this plan is the Codex, an ancient key capable of shattering his prison. With it, Null can unleash his wrath, wiping out all life and forging a new order where only symbiotes reign. He sends his deadly hunters to retrieve the Codex, their mission clear. Nothing must stand in their way. We pick up right where Spider-Man, No Way Home left off. Eddie Brock, still reeling from his brief adventure in another universe, sits at a dingy bar, confused and frustrated. As he vents his frustrations to the bartender, a sudden glowing portal swirls open behind him. Before he can react, the portal pulls him in, and in a flash, Eddie finds himself back in his own world. Later, Eddie learns of Detective Patrick Mulligan's mysterious death. The news hits hard, as Mulligan was last seen fighting against Carnage and barely survived the ordeal. Eddie realizes he can't stay in hiding forever. If the authorities, or worse, another symbiote, come after him, he needs leverage. Desperate for a fresh start, he devises a plan to blackmail New York's district attorney with secrets he's uncovered over the years. But first, Eddie decides to finally visit the Statue of Liberty, something he's long wanted to do. Venom, always the voice of chaos, is thrilled about the idea, but warns Eddie that they won't hesitate to fight anyone who gets in their way. As they move across the city, security cameras track their every step. Unknown to them, a mysterious organization is already watching. Their adventure takes an unexpected turn when they stumble upon an underground fight club. Inside the grimy arena, the ruthless owners threaten Eddie when he protests, but he refuses to back down, arguing that the animals deserve better. When tensions rise, Venom emerges, unleashing his full fury in a brutal brawl that leaves the fight club in ruins. Meanwhile, back at the bar, the bartender stares in horror at the tiny black fragment wriggling across the counter. Before he can react, a group of armed soldiers bursts in. Leading them is General Rex Strickland, a high-ranking military officer tasked with tracking symbiotes. Without hesitation, Strickland takes the sample and demands to know everything about the weird guy with huge, freaky arms. Far from the chaos in New York, Dr. Teddy Payne awakens from a haunting nightmare. She dreams of a stormy night when her twin brother was struck by lightning, vanishing before her eyes. She jolts awake, heart pounding. It's a memory that has tormented her for years. Before she can process it, her intercom buzzes. She receives alarming news. General Strickland is heading to Area 51, and she's been ordered to accompany him. Upon arrival, Strickland briefs her on her role. His job is to capture symbiotes. Hers is to study them. Dr. Payne's eccentric colleague, nicknamed Christmas for her obsession with holiday decorations, presents a disturbing discovery: a supposedly dead symbiote, barely clinging to life. But they both know that no symbiote truly dies. Something is keeping this one from regenerating. Hidden deep underground in the facility, they prepare to study their most unusual test subject, Patrick Mulligan. To their shock, he has not only survived, but has fully bonded with a symbiote. When Dr. Payne insists they had no choice but to experiment on him, Mulligan simply replies with quiet sadness, "Just like me, you're broken too." Meanwhile, Eddie and Venom continue their journey, hitching a ride on a plane. However, they're suddenly attacked mid-flight by a horrifying creature, a Carnage symbiote hunter. The battle nearly kills them, but they manage to survive the crash. Elsewhere, we meet Martin Moon, a devoted father whose family has spent years saving up to visit Area 51. As they embark on their long-awaited tour, pieces of Carnage's remain fall near them, though the excited tourists fail to notice. Eddie, still shaken from the attack, demands answers from Venom. The symbiote explains that carnage hunters are relentless, and if one has come, more will follow. He also reveals Null's tragic backstory, how he created the symbiotes, only to be betrayed and imprisoned by his own children. Now, Null is searching for the one person who carries the Codex. If he finds them, all hope is lost. Back at Area 51, Strickland and Dr. Payne argue about the symbiote's true nature. Payne believes they are running from something, while Strickland insists they are invaders. Their debate is cut short when they receive reports of a man parachuting into the desert, Eddie Brock. Strickland immediately dispatches his troops. Before long, Eddie and Venom are cornered. But just as soldiers prepare to capture them, the Carnage Hunter reappears. The ensuing battle gives Eddie and Venom just enough time to escape. They now realize they are being hunted from all sides. Dr. Payne warns Mulligan's symbiote that the hunter has arrived. The creature transforms into its true form and confirms their worst fear. Null's forces are already here. The only way to erase the Codex is to destroy its host. Realizing the stakes, Strickland announces his grim plan to kill Eddie Brock. Meanwhile, the story goes back to Martin. He introduces Eddie to his wife Nova and his kids Echo, and Leaf Martin offers to give Eddie a ride to Las Vegas after noticing he is barefoot. They mention they're going to Area 51 hoping to see an alien before the site is permanently closed. Afterward, everyone gets in the car to continue their journey. Martin plays his guitar while his wife and kids sing. Venom, enjoying the music, asks Eddie to sing too. Eddie refuses, but as he watches the family's happiness, Venom thinks back on old times. He quietly tells Eddie that sometimes he wonders if they would have been happier living a simple, peaceful life. Several hours later, late at night, Martin's youngest son offers Eddie a chocolate and nervously admits that he is scared of seeing aliens. Trying to comfort him, Eddie promises that aliens are not real. Hearing this, Venom tells Eddie he did the right thing and adds that if he ever had kids, he would be a good father. Venom also thinks about how far they have come together, knowing they still have a long journey ahead. After many hours of driving, they finally arrive in Las Vegas, where security cameras quickly spot Eddie. Grateful for the time they spent together, Martin gives Eddie some money and a pair of sandals before saying goodbye. Venom, excited, eats the chocolate, and they talk about Venom's big dream of visiting the Statue of Liberty. Eddie jokingly suggests stealing a car to keep their adventure going, but Venom, being more practical, suggests playing the slot machines to win more money. When they reach the casino, they're not allowed in because they look messy. Eddie and Venom get a suit by knocking out a man and entering the casino. After playing for a while, they meet Mrs. Chun, who notices Eddie's bad smell. She offers him a room to clean up and then suggests they all celebrate together. After Eddie cleans himself up and changes, he is ready to leave. But Mrs. Chun insists they stay for one last dance, even though Eddie says no. Venom, excited, takes over Eddie's body and starts dancing with Mrs. Chun, ignoring any possible problems. Meanwhile, the symbiote hunter secretly watches them from a distance. Venom and Mrs. Chun enjoy their dance until the symbiote hunter gets too close. Venom quickly changes back into Eddie to avoid being seen. Eddie asks Mrs. Chun to stay calm as the hunter moves away. While it seems like the danger has passed, the peace does not last long as agent from Area 51 rush into the club and capture Eddie. Without anyone noticing, the hunter also sneaks into the scene. Meanwhile, Martin's family finally arrives at Area 51 and decides to sneak in without permission to fulfill their dream of exploring. Inside the lab, Dr. Payne finds out that symbiotes are starting to break down without a good host. She concludes that they need to bring Venom back together with the other symbiotes to stop this from happening. Eddie wakes up in a daze and sees that Patrick is alive. Patrick warns Eddie that he must protect the Codex from dark forces, revealing that an army of symbiotes is waiting and the Codex is very important for their survival. Just then, Strickland bursts into the lab and tells Dr. Payne that she is no longer in charge and that he has full control. Strickland reveals his plan to kill Eddie to destroy the Codex and stop it from getting into Null's hands. And as he shoots Eddie, Venom reappears from Dr. Christmas and enters Eddie's body, and they run as the symbiote hunter reappears and attacks them. Most of the people in the lab bonded with the symbiotes to fight the symbiote hunter. The hunter kills most of the symbiote on its way out. The fight escalates outside, where an explosion takes out the families that sneak in without permission. Eddie and Venom have to come to their rescue. The hunter sends a signal to Null, and in response, he sends more of his monstrous creatures. A portal opens connecting the void to Earth, allowing Null's reinforcements to pour in. Their goal is clear, and General Strickland finally understands that the symbiotes are not the real villains and decides to help Eddie. He shares his plan. He will transform into Venom and attract the attention of the symbiote hunters to create a distraction. Meanwhile, he will organize helicopters to attack Null's monsters from the air. It is a last-ditch effort to gain an advantage in the upcoming battle. Even though the symbiotes are fighting together, they cannot stop the relentless symbiote hunters who start to absorb them one by one. Venom, weakened but determined to save Eddie, carries him into a helicopter, where Venom admits that the hunters are much stronger than they ever thought, and more of them are arriving. Venom also shares his dream of seeing the Statue of Liberty. Eddie, trying to keep things positive, reassures him that they will see it when they get out of this situation. The hunters keep coming and defeat seems certain. With a resigned gesture, Venom comforts Eddie and tells him it is time to end this once and for all. Together they stand up to face the hunters, daring them to come at them. Venom changes into his full form one last time, taking in the attacks from the hunters and using all his strength to hold them back. Venom throws Eddie out onto the floor far from the fight. In a final act of heroism, Venom drags the creatures into an acid rain chamber authorized by Strickland. As the deadly liquid pours down, Eddie watches in horror. Venom shields him, whispering, "Goodbye for now." Eddie wakes up, devastated. Venom is gone. A general tells him this is his chance to start over, but warns him to stay silent about what happened. Finally, Eddie reaches the Statue of Liberty, whispering a promise to never forget his best friend. But just before the credits roll, we cut back to the bartender, staring at an empty vial. The fragment of Venom that Strickland took has escaped. Venom may be gone, but not for long. Make sure to subscribe for more movie recaps. Thanks for watching.